Hello everyone, we are going to start with the topic Maxims of Teaching. This is a topic which is of much use to the teachers who have just started teaching as well as those teachers who want to improve their skills. As far as maxims are concerned, if you have to define them in some way, then we can say that these are psychological principles which make teaching effective and efficient. In the previous classes, we have learned that teaching should be effective and efficient. And for making it effective and efficient, we use different guiding principles which help us in making it cost effective, time effective, and also improves the quality. And these are psychological principles. In the lessons to come, we will study about some principles of learning and teaching also. And these psychological principles, basically it means that they are based on psychological principles. That means we are getting this knowledge based on psychological principles, how we can improve our teaching. As far as maxims are concerned, they are general truth or ideas. That means that through time or through usage over time, we have found them to be true. And these are basically general ideas. So you will not be able to define them in some particular words, but you can understand the idea laying behind these maxims. They are universally accepted, means whatever subject you may be teaching, in whatever language you may be teaching, in whatever class level or to whatever level of teaching you may be teaching, they are accepted at all levels. So that means they are useful to all the teachers, whether they are interacting with kids who are going to nursery, pre-nursery classes, or teachers who are going to teach adults. There also these principles are valid. Similarly, wherever you are using these principles, you will find that they are of use even for home tutoring or for structured classroom teaching. Then next is that they are discovered, not invented. So it is not because of the work of some particular person who has invented it, but we discover them as we go through the process of teaching. We find that they are very useful, and everyone discovers these principles in their own way. Through experience, you get to know that they are really useful in making your teaching effective and efficient. Whatever has been said, that is well said, but we must remember that the success of teacher, it depends upon the teacher's capabilities also. How teacher is using them, what is the competence of teacher, what is the knowledge of teacher, that is also going to be important when we are talking about effectiveness and efficiency of teaching. So that means just using the psychological principles will not give you good result. It depends upon the teacher's competence also, how you are going to use the general principles, and it will also depend upon the knowledge of the teacher. And for applying them, you need to know pedagogy. Pedagogy means how we teach the school going children, as well as philosophy and psychology. So that means to make them more useful, teacher must have knowledge of pedagogy. That is how these are the learning principles, how we can teach the school children or how we can teach the adult children, that is called as andragogy. And philosophy of the teaching, what is the idea behind what you are teaching, and psychological principles. So if the teacher has knowledge of pedagogy, philosophy, psychology, and the knowledge about the subject, which a teacher may be teaching, then using these psychological principles, he can make his teaching effective and efficient. So that means basically what I want to say is that they should not be taken as a whole. They are basically making a part of the whole of education which we are providing in the classroom or through interactive way. And when we are educating a learner, then all these things are required. But this is a tool through which you can make it more effective and efficient. In different books, you will find different maxims. But we can take some of the maxims and try to understand that how they can be used in our teaching. Let us talk about first maxim. Now, first maxim doesn't mean that they are arranged in some chronological order. I have just numbered them 1 to 14, but you can jumble them up because this is no concrete thing that this comes first and this comes second. Neither these are steps, but you need to know about them and just to put them together. We have numbered them. So first I will be taking maxim of known to unknown. What does this maxim suggest? This maxim says that whenever you are teaching, you should go from known to unknown. That means what the learner knows already, based on that, you have to lead him or her to the unknown. So if you want to teach him some fact or some knowledge, you have to give him some understanding of some unknown thing, then you should test what is known to him. And whatever level of the class you may be teaching, or whatever book or whatever subject matter you may be using, child must be having some previous knowledge. Even when the child comes to school for the first time, even at that stage, he has certain knowledge which he has acquired from his home, society. He knows the language. He has certain concept which he has already formed, like home, family, myself. He knows these things. And based on that, we built up what is not known to him. So that means that for taking him from known to unknown, you must arouse his interest. Because, for example, if you tell a child that in your home you are having your parents, those who help you in many ways, but if you go out of your home, how other people help you? So he is able to understand that what does helping means. So based on that, he will be able to understand that how other people of society are useful to him, right? So similarly, for example, if I take that you want to teach mathematical operations to a child, so for that he has to have some previous knowledge of numbers, and if he knows numbers, then you can take him to the next step of mathematical operations. Now, when you are using this maxim, then you should keep in mind that you will go step by step. You have to split your subject matter into smaller steps, and you have to go step by step from known to unknown. And during this process, we ask them many questions. And these questions, they are basically used to fulfill three purposes. One is that you want to arouse their interest, and second thing is that you want to test their previous knowledge. But whatever questions you ask them, you should remember that the questions should be logical and valid which are linked to their previous knowledge. So if the questions which you are asking, they are valid and logical, and you will be able to test their previous knowledge, then you will be able to mark the beginning point from where to start the lesson. You know how much do they know, and depending upon what is unknown to them, what is your objective to teach them, you can divide your subject matter into smaller parts and go step by step. Now when the child uses his previous knowledge to build new concept, then his understanding of the subject, that is better. So it is very clear from here that this maxim has maximum use in introduction of lesson. When you are going to introduce a lesson in your class, then there we use this maxim. We try to understand how much is known to the child and what you want to teach him, what is unknown. And accordingly, we ask them certain questions to test their previous knowledge and arrange the subject matter in step-by-step manner. And to this we use logical and valid questions so that children, they maintain their interest in the class. Otherwise what will happen, that you may start with the topic, you may start from that step which is already known to the learner. So if the learner is already knowing those things which you are telling them, then he will not be able to maintain the interest. He will get demotivated. He will feel that he already knows what you are going to tell them. Similarly, if you don't test what is known to them and straight away you start teaching your topic, then if the child or the learner was not knowing what you presumed that they are knowing, then also he will not be able to understand. So most importantly, it is used at the introduction of lesson and in previous knowledge testing. For an example, we can take an example that you want to teach them mathematical operations, and when you go to the classroom or when you start with the teaching, you can use this maxim known to unknown. So what is unknown? You want to teach them addition, subtraction, or whatever you want to teach them. Before that, you have to test that do they understand numbers, do they understand cardinal numbers, do they have some concept of addition by adding the concrete objects. So that way you will be able to understand that from where we have to start the lesson, right? Second maxim, that is easy to difficult. What does this maxim suggest? This maxim suggests that the subject matter should be always arranged from easy to difficult level. Now easy and difficult, both of these terms, they are related to learner, not the teacher. It is not as per the teacher what teacher considers easy. It is to judge what is easy for the child or the learner to do. So this maxim, it is used to grading of lesson. If you teach a learner some concept and he is able to understand that concept very easily, then it will definitely boost his confidence. If you teach him something which the child is not able to understand, then what will happen? That child will not be able to maintain his interest, right? And he may feel, I will not be able to understand this. But if you ask him, first you ask him easy questions, then you go to difficult questions, then he will be able to maintain his confidence. You must have seen that our textbooks or exercises, they are always graded as per this maximum. In the exercise questions or revision question, you will see that the first question is always easy, which the child is very comfortable doing it. Then step by step more and more difficult questions are asked. Even our examination papers, they are set using this maxim. First few questions which are asked in the examination, they are easy, which the child considers that he will be able to solve them. Then as he keeps on going through the question paper, in the later part of the question paper you will find lengthier questions or difficult questions, so that the learner or the examinee, he maintains interest in taking the test. So these maxims, they are very well used. One, for knowing the previous knowledge, and second, easy to difficult, we usually use when we are grading our exercise. Even in the books, in the whenever the textual material is arranged, there also you will see that the beginning of the lesson will contain some examples or topic related to the previous knowledge. As you proceed through the lesson, the content becomes difficult, and it leads the learner towards the unknown. So these are used in arrangement of the textual material as well as in arrangement of question paper. Third maxim is simple to complex. Sometimes what we see, that the content which we are teaching, that is complicated or that is complex. And this maxim suggests that the material which you are teaching them, that should go from simple to complex. That means difficulty should follow ease. What does it mean? It means that whatever topic you may be teaching, first you should teach easy topic, then you should take up difficult parts. Or in other words, for example, when we are teaching them how to make sentences in languages, first what we teach them simple sentences. Then as the child masters the usage of simple sentences, then we start teaching him or her about the complex sentences. If you straightaway start with the complex, then he will not be able to grasp it well. So whatever content you are teaching, that should go from simple to complex. This is also used during the questions which are planned for the exercise or revision exercises. And in the examination also, the questions, they go from simple to complex. First few questions are simple. Simple means that maybe there is only one value point which is included. As they go from easy to difficult level, the questions, they become more complicated and complex, right? So this is how these three principles, they help us in setting the question papers as well as arranging the subject matter for classroom teaching through textbooks or through notes, or for planning of the lesson by the teacher. Another maxim that we are going to study is psychological to logical. What does this maxim suggest? This maxim suggests that you should plan your material based on psychological principle and arrange it in a logical way. So that means that whatever material you are going to teach them, or whatever subject matter you have planned to teach, that should be guided by the psychological needs. Psychological needs, it develops on interest, capacity and development level of the child. So whatever material you are going to teach them, that should be based on the developmental level or developmental stage, interest and capacity of child. First you should see that who the learner is, what is his developmental stage, what are his interests, what are his capacities, and according to that you should choose the topic, or according to that you should select the material which you are going to teach them. And once you have selected the material, then that should be arranged in logical order. Logical order means logical, simple to easy is also, simple to complex is logical, easy to difficult is logical, and known to unknown is also logical. So you have to plan the material in logical way. Right? So what does it suggest? It suggests that whatever material or whatever knowledge you want to provide to the learner, that should be as per his developmental stage, as per his interest, as per his capacity. And what material you are teaching them, that should be presented to the learner in a logical manner. For example, you must have seen that when we are interacting with school going children, then our methods are different. But when we are going to interact with adults, then our methods of teaching will be different. These methods of teaching, they help in planning our material in a logical way. And selection of the method of teaching, that is based on psychological principle. If you are going to teach kids, maybe nursery or pre-nursery kids, so you know that at that developmental stage, they are more interested in games, in playing, and their capacities are also less. They will not be able to do higher cognitive work. Their interest is more in playing. They are more interactive with the teacher. So there, what method you will be selecting? You will be selecting playway methods. And when you are teaching adults, then they are more at that interest level where they are more motivated by discovery or research methods. So that means as per the need of the developmental stage, interest and capacity of the learner, playway methods are more suitable for kids. Whereas when you are teaching adults, then discovery methods or research methods, they are more suitable because that matches with their developmental stage. Now that means that for the kids we will be using playway methods more, and for as we are going from pedagogy to andragogy, we will be using more of self-learning or learning by discovery, learning by research, such kind of methods or discussion methods you will be able to use. Can you think of using discussion method with the kids? That will not be possible. Similarly, using playway methods with the adults is also not suggested. Now, once you have decided that this method will be more of use to these learners, then within that method, you have to plan your material in a logical way. Then next maxim that we are going to discuss here is whole to part. Whole to part means that you are giving an overview. You give the overview in the beginning and then follow it by details. Now this maxim is used. For example, you are going to teach them some story from a literature. So before starting with the novel, which may be comprising of 500 or 1000 pages. So first you give them a overview, you give them the idea about the plot, that what is the plot of the story, what characters are there, and what they are going to get in terms of knowledge, or how it is of interest to the learner. You give them an overview. It is a kind of summary that we can say that in the before we start teaching, we give them a summary of the lesson, so that child or the learner is able to set his mind in that frame, that this is what he is going to concentrate on. So when we tell them a little about the whole of the lesson, then the learner is able to arrange the material in his mind. For example, we can say that before we start teaching them tissues. Now tissues is a very wide lesson. So before teaching them tissue, we give them an overview that in this lesson we will be talking about this plant tissue and these animal tissues, and these main titles or main terms we are going to use. These are the main categories we are going to discuss. So the child is able to frame a mental map that this is the content of the lesson. Sometimes in this we are especially when we are teaching literature, we omit some part of the whole, so that interest is maintained. For example, if you are going to teach them some novel or story, you may tell them quite many things about the plot of the story, but you may miss some of the points, so that the learner remains motivated to know that what will be happening in the end. So both way it is used, that we are using the whole. For example, when we are teaching sciences or when we are teaching them literature, there we are using such maxim very often, that we are giving them an overview of a very complicated and complex material which we are going to present to them. And at times we leave some part so that the learner is motivated, he knows a lot about the content which he is going to read, but some part which keeps him motivated so that he goes through all the content. For example, if you are going to teach them some literature novel, and if in the beginning you tell them the whole story, so the curiosity is lost. So in that case, some part may be, or the climax may be kept secret in the initial stage, so that learner is motivated to find the missing part.